This how dads talk. This how dads walk. This the dad pod. The dad pod.
Hey world, what's going on? Right back here again with the Dad Pod. Got my boy Franklyn Bishop on the other end, out there in Vegas. Wish I was with you. Not that we would really be doing anything,
Right. Just having a good time as
amazing.
we do.
So I don't need Vegas to have a good time for sure. But anyway, we're gonna do a couple different things with this one. God, man, I'm telling you, I was telling Sam in the last video, I cannot figure out. See how my head and shit disappear? That shit's so annoying. It distracts me every time I be in this thing talking. But it is what it is. Anyway, in this video, we're gonna do some different talking, right?
All right, I'm ready.
The same old kind of thing, but I'm gonna start a little different with this one. I'm gonna ask you a couple questions, and I'll follow up with the same. But my first one, and I kind of already know my answer. What I'm gonna talk about, but if you could give yourself or another young man piece of advice now that you're at the age you're at, what would be the number one piece of advice you would give?
Oh man, if I could just going back thinking that somebody like at the young age of like 15, being that like I got a teenage daughter, what I mean, at 15 years old, giving a young person a good piece of advice is, gosh, I listen to directions, what I mean, like listen to understand, what I mean, not everything that every adult or teacher is trying to tell you something to control you. I mean, the education is there for a reason. And that's another key point I'm actually following up into, like invest in your education. That's key. I get it. There's a lot of easy ways to make money nowadays. Every kid wants to be an influencer, a YouTuber, and everything else, man. But knowledge is something that is priceless. You know what I mean? That's something that doesn't depreciate in value. Like knowledge is not a trending topic that's gonna switch
Go
up.
away.
It's not gonna fade away. It's not gonna go away. Like as long as you have the information, and it's information in anything, you learn how to do stocks, learn how to trade, learn how to invest in real estate or something. But definitely obtain information, get that education, what I mean? It'll take you a long way.
I was telling my son, same concept with the education thing. I said, because he had kind of had some bad grades, and I'm like getting on his ass, like straight up, right? My dad got on me, that kind of thing. But I'm telling him, I said, Michael, I'm paying money right now to go back to school and learn what I should have learned for free. And not just that, what I realized as I got older? The answers are in the book. You just got to read it. Right? Yeah. I didn't want to, right? And I know I've said this in some other one, especially in school. I always say, like, I'm big on my time, right? So I would go, okay, if I save 10 seconds here, 10 seconds there, 30 here, right now I got this many minutes, right? But the problem is I didn't do shit in high school. So I save all these minutes to sit on my ass and go watch TV, you know what I mean? Now I wish I can get those minutes, But anyway, like we're saying with telling somebody the number one thing, and I always tell people, especially because of where I work, right? I've gotten to hear some outrageous stories, right? But I think for me personally, the number one piece of advice I'd give any young man is don't let 30 seconds ruin your life, right? Don't let that anger, don't let emotion of a moment ruin your life. Like I said, I can't tell you how many stories I've heard of people that ruin their entire life in 60 seconds doing 25 to life, right? And it's insane because as a man, right, we all know a lot of us do get there. We get to this point. And I tell people a lot of times too with boxing, that's why I learned to box, right? One of the fights I got in when I was younger, I woke up punching him. Like I woke up, right? That's how motherfuckers end up in prison, right? And so, but like that concept, and I always say that I do like boxing. I wish more kids would get into it or some kind of physical sport, right? The discipline is one. It teaches you so much discipline. It also teaches you can really get hurt in fighting, so you don't have to do this all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, to me, that's one piece of advice. And then kind of like you were saying with kids listening and stuff. I had one of those conversations. My son's talking about the fair, right? Fair come and I can't remember exactly what happened, but his friend was doing. Oh, his friend had his flash on while he was in the ride, right? And so the guy tells the kid, "Turn your flash off." And I guess the kid didn't turn it off. So they ended up by getting the police to come by, shut the ride down, and kicked him off, right? And so my son's telling me, and he's kind of just like, I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal. So I started telling him, I was like, and he wasn't the one that did it, but I'm just telling him, it doesn't really matter who or what. When an adult tells you to do something, even if you don't understand, you need to listen. So I start to explain to him, okay, to you, it was no big deal, right? But what if that light happened to shine in his eye at the wrong time and he hits that button and you guys spin somewhere you weren't supposed to, machine breaks, everybody's hurt. And think about that, right? And that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Sometimes adults do know more than you do. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, and honestly, I'll just kind of double back on that about kids, about people making the wrong decision, 30-second decision ruin their whole life. Emotional regulations, man. I think that's something that should be taught, especially within men, with us males. A lot of guys kind of like that bravado kind of takes over and be like, "What? Regulate my emotion?" No, man. Emotional intelligence can go a long way. That needs to be taught within young men, young women, and also just learn how to regulate your emotions. You know what I'm saying? Like I've gotten big on that now. Like people say things like, this is a crazy thing. Like, no, people talk like people get like question me about, oh, what do you think about other people, other races say the N word? You see a group of kids walk down the street, they're not black, you hear them say the N word. I'm like, okay, and like, what am I actually supposed to do? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not in that space of where like I hear something and it triggers
Yeah.
anger. You know
As
what I'm
it
saying?
shouldn't.
Like, yeah, I'm a
And
I'm a father.
and it's
Words like
funny,
that don't bother me.
especially with, well, like you saying that, right? And it made me think, like, growing up, I'm like, I hung around with enough black dudes. Like, you say that shit enough, man, that shit just rub off on you. Like, what I mean? I wasn't trying to
Right.
say it either, but like ton, like, so all of a sudden,
Yep.
I'm like, you said this shit every other word. So now it's just starting to come, right? And I remember when it
Uh-huh.
happened with me, I was like, man, I ain't trying to say this shit, but it did happen. You know what I mean? That kind of sense. But as far
It
as what you're
happens.
saying with, letting words get to you like that, right? I tell people, I'm said a billion times, but I had this peace sign that I bought a long time ago for that, because I started realizing when I'm getting so angry and I'm getting so out of character over somebody that goes home and is watching TV happily, right? And I'm the one that's pissed off. So it's like, right at the end of the day, you can't let somebody take your peace, and that's why I put it here, right? Like, as soon
Absolutely.
as I feel like,
Absolutely.
nah, you can't take that from me, right? I can only give
That's
you that,
right.
you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and like you said, that emotional, like I was literally just having a conversation today about some of this, where being a music producer, right? I'm like, you can't imagine how many personalities I've dealt with, and especially rappers. They're all the best. They all don't need any help. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I can't even tell you the kind of personalities I had to deal with, and like you're saying, with the emotional intelligence, most of them, men, right? Like you said, don't know how to control that, right? And
Hmm.
and even I've talked about some of this. I'm sure you were kind of similar, maybe. I don't know, maybe not, because I think you said you were like mostly raised by your mom, right?
Yes.
So I guess you can tell me how she reacted with that, but right, like I definitely grew up. Any of emotion was soft, like for a man.
Yes.
What
Yes.
was it
Well, because
similar with your mom, or was she
it
trying to
was
get you to
because like
show?
my dad was there. He was just uh an in and out participant, but he was there
Oh,
enough to like raise me and my brother. So emotions was not part of the thing. Emotions was like, what are you getting upset for? What your feelings get hurt for? What you talking about? You sad over what? Oh, because this happened. Tough it up, suck it up, wash it off, walk it off.
yeah,
You
that
know what I
suck
mean?
it up
Like
for sure.
it was the suck it up part was just a huge part of me upbringing. And some people try to say like, oh my gosh, I probably created trauma for you. I I don't allow those type of words to insert my body and call it trauma, you know what I mean? Because it made me the man I am today. You know what I'm saying? I do have strength. I do understand that, hey, things happen. Life is going to happen no matter what. Life is going to bend you over and take it. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter what's going to happen, you just got to keep living. You know what I mean? You got to keep becoming the best person that you can be to make the situation better for yourself. You can sit back and cry and throw a tantrum all you want to, but guess what? That situation is still going to be there when you're done
Mm-hmm.
crying. So you might as well
Yeah,
just rip the damn band-aid off
that's
and deal
real.
with it.
That is
You know
super
what I'm
real.
saying?
And I
Yeah.
kind of, with you saying that, right? That's an interesting topic, I guess. To like, how do you explain that to your kids, right? As we've gotten older, we've
Oh,
realized that, right? When I was a kid,
yeah.
I didn't get that. I used to run, man. I could think for reals. I used to run from everything. I was
Mhm.
terrified. And then, right, I do remember when I got to the point where I realized, like, let's just run this shit, because I'm so exhausted. It's so exhausting running away from your problems. Let's just go through what we got to go through and get it done. You know what I mean? But that's
Yes.
like how do like with my son, at least the way I've tried to is like I tell people a lot, like with work, maybe, right? I'm exhausted from work, or I can't afford this or that, right? I tell my kids that, because to me that's kind of a sign of teaching them, you know what I mean? Teaching them, even
Yes.
dad, kind of go through it. But look, we get out, you know what I mean?
Yes. Well, and for me, which is interesting too, no, my daughter, she went through her first FFA auction. She had a goat. She raised a goat for like the last 9 months. She's been
Yeah.
raising this goat, getting prepared for the fair. And when it all comes down to it, now she's like getting like stage fright. She's worried about presenting her animal, walking in front of people. And she's like, I'm not gonna do this. I'm just gonna leave. I'm gonna quit. I said, she's like, oh, these other girls, they've done it, they've been there before, they've done everything. I said, guess what, Ari? Surprise. When you go through life, somebody's already been through there too as well. You're not always going to have the edge at like everybody else. But guess what? they started where you started at too. You know what I'm saying? And if it's humanly possible, you're capable of doing it too. And number two, you're not a quitter. I will never let you quit on anything.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
committed to something, you're going to see it out all the way through, and you're going to go through with this. And the way I kind of helped her out with that was, use myself as an example. I had a presentation for a job interview. I presented something in front of a panel of like 11 people. I was nervous. I was scared. I didn't feel like I was prepared enough. But I shared that with her. I let her know my own fears. But I'm like, baby girl, this is a process that I got to go through. If I want to make a better job, I want to get a better career, I have to go through this process. Yes, you're going to be scared. You're going to be nervous. But the more you do it, the easier it's going to become. But if you try to run from anything and everything, guess what? You're still going to be at the beginning stages of talking in front of people or going through something. You're never going to be able to get used to it.
Well, like with you saying that, because for me, it's hard to relate. The only time I can ever think of that I got nervous in front of people was my very first music show, right? I had never actually did a performance in front of anybody on stage ever, right? And the first one was like 300 people. I was scared as shit, you know what I mean? And I fucked up right with the first song, like right the fuck away. But then I got back in it, I got everything going, but that's literally the only time I can think of being in front of people where I was nervous. And so like, that's what I mean with kind of like, that's something with my son, luckily kind of is similar to me, he, kind of got that thing. But when people say that, like I remember in school being afraid to go up in front of the class. And for me, it was always like, why? What for what? That's your peers. They may know better than you. Well, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
They're going to be up there too. But kind of like you're saying with that, I guess that wasn't my fear in school, right? But my fear in school for sure was people thinking I'm stupid or dumb, right? I was definitely in low math, man, my whole motherfucking life. So, right, and I just don't get math. It is what it is, right? But I excel in English and history, so you know what I mean. Everybody got their thing, but but kind of like that, like you say, in certain fears, right? We all got our own fears and whatever, and like you were saying with giving an example to your kids, of how you got through one, right? That's all to me the kids need, you know what I mean? And I don't. Yes. I've had conversations with some people kind of think, oh, now my kid sees me this way. And I just don't think so. Cause me personally, I see my parents struggle and that benefited me,
It sure did. Yes. It benefited me. I see my mom as the strongest woman that I know. You know what I mean? It's to this day, like if I talk to a woman, I date a woman and she has all these like, oh my gosh, my day was so hard. I have the kids. And I hear a lot of that coming out of a woman's mouth. I think about my mom. I'm like, my mom didn't do none of that. My mom got up every morning and did the damn thing. She did it. If she had a moment by herself, she did, but she was never like, this is so hard. These kids are just too unbearable. I've watched my mom go through the struggle. I watched my mom continue to be successful no matter how many challenges came. So my mom being the woman that she was did nothing but give me the example. And I pull strength from her, So when I do look at some women out here, be like, oh my gosh, I just can't do it. I'm like, hey girl, I want to suck it up, man. This came from a single mom over here,
Yeah.
But everybody's story is different. So I try to be also understanding, but it's just, once again, I looked at my mom being vulnerable, seeing those struggles didn't make me look negatively at my mom, look down at her or anything else. I think being vulnerable to our kids is a good thing.
Absolutely.
It's okay to show like, damn, dad's not okay. Dad's having a bad day. We can't carry the weight of the world all the time, because that's a lot, We want to show strength, but also it's okay to be vulnerable. Not like, don't be a pussy.
Yeah.
What I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
that's a conversation, right? I definitely have had on this before, but I think that is where a lot of the tough situations come as far as men and boys go, right? Is like growing up, like I said, it was the same thing, toughen up, suck it up, get up, which is definitely beneficial. But like one thing I bring up on this thing all the time is that, I was waiting for my son. He's never not been in my dad pod almost, man. He always pops up, I swear.
That's right.
You coming in or not? Anyway, but I'm like, one of the things is, right, okay, hold on, you're gonna have to wait. But like not crying, right? I don't believe that was the right thing, I guess, right? Like men can cry. But the thing is more so, like you said, don't be emotional like a woman. That's really what the concept is. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what it really is. You can't be to that level. Matter of fact, I was talking about this shit today, man. I was in front of my son one time. I don't know who I was talking to, but I was just like, yeah. I'm like, I never cried in front of my son. I think he might have seen me cry once. And my son's right there, and he goes, twice. And I'm like, what? When? So he tell me, right? He tell me one time, and he was like, the second time was when you were in the bathroom with the toothache. And I was like, no, you didn't see me. You heard me acting out a scene for one of the movies I was gonna
right.
You only seen me once, motherfucker. Like,
My man.
but you know what I mean? Like
Oh
that again,
gosh.
like that concept with the crying or whatever. You know, I definitely let him know. You know, and he sees me in that light. It doesn't make you weak. You know, and even actually because we're on this crying thing, I remember this. It was really funny actually. So my son comes up and he starts telling me about one of his friends. Right, he's 12. One of his friends cried at something in a movie or something. And, you know, of course, 12-year-old boys, right? They going in
Right.
already. Like, he's like, we going there, like, this motherfucker, right? And so he
Right.
asked me, you know, he's like, and I could tell in the tone that he asked me, he was waiting for me to kind of clown and make fun of it too, you know? He's like, Dad, you ever cry at a movie? And he's kind of laughing at it. And I said, son, look, I'm emotional. I cry at Shark Tank, right? These motherfuckers made it. Like, oh man, they did it.
Like, oh,
The fuck, like, like I said, I don't feel weaker for crying. Like, I don't feel,
right.
I'm happy as a motherfucker. Like, but I was trying to tell him, like, because it was actually funny. I was telling him, I said, it's super funny you're asking me that because we went and watched Moana 2 in the theaters, and my son's sitting right next to me, literally. Man, I'm crying and I'm trying real hard, like. Like if I got allergies and shit, right? I'm
Right,
like,
right.
And so when he brought that up, I asked him, so you didn't see me in Moana? And he was like, no. He said, I seen you wipe your face a couple times. I said, that's what I'm saying.
Right. But see that's okay though because you're right that we're like speaking of it in like in a healthy way like hey you know it's okay to be happy for something or you feel the emotion and you cry like that's okay you know
Yeah.
that's all right like the last time my kids saw me cry was you know after my father passed away you know my father passed away you know I had a breakdown moment I'm like oh my god you know after me trying to hold it in I just sat there I just had a
Yeah.
moment and you know my kids came right to me gave me a hug gave me love you know what I'm saying I'm just like are you okay dad we love you I'm like oh, I appreciate this y'all you know it's great they don't look at me differently. They still look at me like, damn, dad's the one that we're going to call. If we're ever in danger, dad's still the one that we're calling. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter
Yeah.
what. And I think it's okay to have that conversation with kids as long as it's like it's a healthy cry. Hey, if you're excited about something or you know you feel a sense of sadness, you see a sad scene happen, it's okay to shed a tear.
Absolutely.
Now, if someone calls you ugly and you start crying, that's a different conversation. Wait a minute, son. Like somebody calls you ugly and that made you cry. Like, hey, bro,
Yeah.
we gotta have a talk. Like,
Absolutely.
why are those words affecting you right there? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah,
Control
there's
those
just
emotions.
yes, there's this fine line, but yep, there you go, right
All
there.
right.
Control
So
the
here's
emotions.
another question right here.
What you got?
What would you do if your son was at home crying all over the bedroom floor because he's hungry? And the only way to feed him is to sleep with a man for a little bit of money. And his daddy's gone somewhere smoking rock now and in out of lockdown. You don't know that fucking song?
Oh, I know. I was waiting for you to finish it seriously.
He
I'm
said,
like,
you,
I'm
he's
like,
waiting for you to.
I'm gonna be like, what would you do? Get up off my feet,
Yeah.
stop making tired
Yo,
excuses.
I swear to you, man, I always busting my kids with something like that. I try to go serious, like, hey, so what would you do? And I start doing this all that shit. Be mad funny,
Yeah.
man. I'm like, shut up. And I always be saying too, I had them listen to the words, you know, to listen to what they're talking about, right? We used to
Yes.
dance to this shit. What would you do
Hey,
if your son was
a,
out?
a whole struggle song. We're over there bopping to it. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
no,
saying?
what the
He's
fuck?
like, man, this woman got problems over here,
Yeah, I
man.
was not paying attention. Yeah, that shit, mad funny. All right, let me see. So
Oh
let me see.
God.
Well, I had another one. Man, I can't. Do you got any like questions like that? Like I said, that would help even other dads or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I had one earlier, and I swear I forgot it. We started talking about so many different things.
You know, I would say like dating, dating
Oh,
like
that's
as
interesting
a
one.
dating as a father. As a single father, everything else. I know we all got different relationships, but just giving advice to like men who date. When would be the appropriate time to start bringing your child around this new girlfriend? You know what I mean? Like, and how would you go about that?
I think they say right, like 6 months. You're supposed to be with him at least for 6 months or something
Hmm.
before you introduce him. And yeah, obviously, I really wouldn't know about that kind of concept. But I mean, just the thought of it in my head, I don't know. I don't feel like I would. It would take a lot to bring my kids around, a female for sure. I'd have to really feel like that's where we're going. She's gonna be in their life, right? Because especially right if mom's not there daily or whatever, that's gonna be hard on the kids to possibly fall in love with another mother figure. You know what I mean? Like, so
Hmm.
I don't feel like I would do that. Bring them around quick.
Yeah, and like I'm with you on that one. I'm the same way. To me, I always look at it as like I'm very private with my kids. You know what I mean? My kids are the last element of me that a girl would get access to, because I don't want my kids to like meet someone, get comfortable with them, start liking them. She's coming around, and then me and her don't work out, and then they're asking like, "Oh, I thought we were gonna go to Disneyland with Christina." I'm like, "Oh, me and Christina broke up." You know what I'm saying? But hey, guess what? Valerie's coming over next week.
Yeah.
It's like it's kind of hard. Like I tend to do that. I tend to be very private when it comes like to my kids. Like I don't even. I think I've only told my kids. I think they only met like two women, and this is within a span of like 10 years, but I usually give them like the heads up, like my daughter being old, I'm like, hey, dad has a friend, like dad has a friend, she's going to come over, or we're going to go to the park. She has a kid too, and we're going to go meet them, like, are you okay with that? I even get the okay from them. I'm like, are you okay with that? Or do you want to? Because if she says no, I'm not going to force my kids into any situation where they don't feel comfortable with, you know what I mean? Especially kids like think about their mom, and like, yeah, I'm the father. Some people feel like, well, they're with me, so they got to do what I say. I beg to differ. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather not put my kids in an uncomfortable situation because they're not going to talk. They're not going to be engaging.
And right, it definitely, my wife has definitely drawn a lot of that point to it, right? And I guess same thing. I don't like to use like the word trauma either, but like that concept of what I was raised with and what I saw. My dad was not loving and all on my mom, and you know what I'm saying. So that kind of transitioned down to me, obviously. And my wife had brought it up, same with my son. You have to pay attention and show your son how to love a girl, love a woman, right? How to treat them. Yes. And again, not like I do my wife bad or anything, but she's just right saying, be aware, right? And because like I said, I watched my dad and I picked up the bad habits. You know what I'm saying? And like that, like I said, I definitely like how you said you kind of ask permission with your kids. Like, is that cool? Do you want to, because same thing, they might not want to entertain that kind of thing either. I definitely like that. It's kind of funny. I don't know if I ever said it on one of these podcasts, but I remember I'm talking to my daughter about boys, like how they play her, and she's talking. Oh, he said this, he said that. And I'm trying to tell her, like, listen, that's game. Like that's game, right? I used to do that kind of shit too. Like I never said I love you to have sex, but yeah, it's game, right? Like he used to always say, oh yeah, I got a gold mouthpiece. I used to hear this all the time. Right. So it's like I'm trying to tell her, right? And my daughter looked me dead in my eyes and goes, "Does mom know?" That shit was hilarious. I'm like, she absolutely knows. You know, I wasn't always with your mama, right? Like, like, right. But yeah, it was funny. But I also always say, like, that's good, right? Because that means I've never talked about those situations or experiences in front of my kids, that they didn't even know I've been with another girl, right? You know what I mean? And like I said, again, with being private and stuff, like there is things I'm going to tell my kids, but there's also stuff I'm not telling you unless we got to talk about it, right? When we got to talk about it, we'll talk about it. But otherwise, some of it's just none of your business. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm not gonna invite them to into my adult world. You know what I'm saying? This is the world for the adult. I'm a parent.
Yes.
I'm navigating how I need to navigate, and when it becomes relevant enough to speak with you about it, then I shall do so. But other than that, nah. And it's funny because I my daughter's 15 years old. She be talking about boys. I'm like, Ari, look at me right now. I'm like, look, I'm gonna tell you this right now. I'm your reference. I'm your AI chat. I'm your chat GPT. You come to me and ask me anything about a boy, I got you. You know what I mean? Because she definitely knows me, because she's unfortunately her mom and her friends, they get together sometimes and start exchanging stories. And my daughter's been present, and she'd be like, Dad, mom and her friends said this about you. Are you really doing this? You were dancing at the clubs and yada yada. I'm like, look, daughter, that was a long time ago. Okay, this is pre-kids, right? But I let her know everything. I'm like, look, I said, girl, these boys out here, they're gonna lie to you, they're gonna play with you, they're gonna do this and that. You know what I mean? You're at this age right now. The only thing you need to be focused on is your education, sweetheart. You know what I mean? 100%. And when the time comes, you'll know it. You know what I mean? That attraction is gonna flow. But yeah, being real with the kids, being upfront with them, that's always a big thing.
I'm like, as you were saying that too, I remember explaining to my kids, like, how I fell in love with my wife, right? And it was definitely, for instance, I never ever thought I would get married. Period. I was 100% certain. I was even like, I don't want kids, but I will have a son before 50 just to carry on my name, right? That's where I was, right? And so I try to explain to my kids, right, where I was and how, it just worked out with me and their mom, right? And like you're saying there, that's how it really just is supposed to. When you force it and you're young, that's normally how people go through all these heartbreaks, right? You're forced and shit. You're trying to be an adult and have these feelings that you don't understand yet,
Yes.
Right.
I wasn't trying to be that. I mean, I would tell people all the time, I didn't have my first real relationship till way after I got out the Navy. You know what I'm saying? That was like in like 2003. You know what I mean? I didn't know how to be a boyfriend. I didn't. I knew how to have fun. That was it. I just knew how to have fun with girls. But when it got past like that 3 week, 4 week, like going to a month, and
Same,
like, oh,
same.
what are we? Are we boyfriend and girlfriend? I'm like, oh, we what? I'm like, oh, nah, I'm not trying to do that. Or I would do some asshole shit just to make the girl break up with me and be like, oh my gosh, I can't deal with you. I'd be like, oh, thank God I dodged that
I
bullet.
used to do shit like that
I,
too.
I
That's
had
funny.
no idea how to be a committed person. And I'm okay with saying that, you know what I mean? Because now at 44 years old, I know what I'm looking for. I know who I
Mhm.
am as a man. You know what I mean? I know like the five love languages. You know what I'm saying? I know how to do these things. I know how to understand women's wants and needs and stuff like that. Like I understand it now. I'm better at that. At but before I wasn't. I was a horrible boyfriend. I always have been. I'm like, don't date. Please don't date me. Think that we're gonna go anywhere because you're gonna be highly disappointed. And I'm sorry, you're just gonna have to live with that story. I hate Franklyn. Yeah, you do probably. I got a couple of girls in my life that probably don't like me right now, but
That I couldn't even imagine going back into like the dating scene, man. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was like, "How the fuck do you even talk to a girl nowadays? Like, don't nobody be out in public, and when they are, they got their head in the fucking phone. Like, what am I supposed to? Hey, hi, give me your snap, and we can talk. Like, what the fuck? Like, how do you even start a conversation like that now? Like, women are so, like, or just the world is so woke and fucking. You can't say anything. I couldn't imagine walking up to a girl and say, "Hey, you're cute. Would you like to drink and dance?" Oh my god, you're attacking me. Like, what? How do you even?
it's insane. Like I've been out here, being out here in Vegas and even anywhere else, man. It's hard.
Yeah,
The
he can't
you
see.
know the best times of our lives was when you were able to actually see the girl in public and walk up to her, be like, "Oh my gosh, you are so cute." You know what I'm saying? I like that outfit. I like that baby fat you rocking. You
Mm,
know what I'm saying? You cute. You're like, hey, it wasn't like it was. Can I get your number? It wasn't like, can I get what's your at? You know what I'm saying? What's your tag or what's this? Like, no, it was a direct line. What's your number? Write down the
yeah.
7 digits. You know what I mean? Then you get home, you talk on the phone for a little bit. Then you say, hey, let's meet up at the mall. Let's meet up at the pizza spot. Let's go kick it. Are you going? I'll meet you at this party.
The mall's coming back.
Yeah, it was so much easier. Now it's just so hard because like I said, you got everybody online is a dating professional now. You know, you got women that set the crazy standards, and you got guys that say, hey,
Oh
nah man, you a
yeah.
pimp. It's just the battle of the sexes back and forth online, and I just tell people, shut that out. You know what I mean? Stop
And
listening to people online, man, and just do
yeah,
you.
one of the ones I remember seeing or reading kind of a while back, but it was kind of just saying like that, mostly women that are confusing likes with compatible men, right? A
Yes,
lot of men's
yes.
gonna like you with your thong hanging out or your workout outfit that shows a lot of curves. Yeah, a lot of them gonna hit that like button, but that don't mean they like you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of women have gotten to that point where they think there's all these fish in the sea, and there's really not. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of sharks, but not
A
that
lot of
many.
sharks.
Not that many
No,
compatible.
no.
And kind of like like you're saying with women with high standards, man. I was reading this woman said she hadn't paid for a meal in a year. She set up
Uh,
multiple dates regularly for the man to buy her food, and she would order extra and take the leftovers home to her kids.
oh,
Right?
yeah.
I couldn't believe I read that shit. Right? I'm like, first of all, if I'm on a date and it's cool, I know you had kids, but if you tell me, oh, you think you can buy something for my kids too, I'm bouncing. Right?
Yeah,
This is
that's it.
not first date and everything, right? Like, holy shit, right? But anyway,
Yeah.
again, with stuff like that, it just blows my mind because women, I feel like at some point, right? And I had this conversation too, fought so hard for women rights and equality and all that. And then
Mm-hmm.
it's like a good portion of them now are so dependent on men, but then hate men, right? It's interesting,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
interesting.
You know what about that, about like the women's standards? I hate to say this ugly truth, but men are to blame for that because there's a lot of men out here now because they don't have the mouthpiece, they don't have the confidence, they lead with their wallets. They lead with their wallets. Now they'll see a pretty girl, they don't know how to talk to them or anything else like that. But what do they do have? They have a lot of money. Hey, what can I do for you? You want to go on a date with me? I'll pay your rent. I'll buy you a Birkin bag. I'll take you here. I'll fly you to Florida.
How
And
many of that
so
shit have you seen that dude that actually do that shit too?
I mean, I've known some dudes that do that, and I've been looking. I'm like, why are you doing this, man? Oh, it's money. I got it. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, I'm just a different breed of person. Like if a woman's gonna like me, she's gonna like me for me. Hey, what do you do? I work at Walmart. You know what I'm saying? I do security on the weekends at the club. You know what I'm saying? I bring home, 60K after taxes. I drive a Honda Accord. You
Yeah,
know
that's
what I'm
and
saying?
even that,
Like
they ain't nobody
I,
business about
I
nothing. And it's
yeah,
crazy with that even too that because yeah, I've seen this, mostly like IG models or whatever, but whether
mm,
I have 100,000 a month to fuck with me, like, well, I remember seeing this one chick. She was like, I put $2 million into my body, so blah blah blah. Like, that's supposed to fucking mean something to me. I'm sort of like,
that's your
yeah,
choice.
that
You know
was
what
your
I'm saying?
choice. I'm supposed to pay
I,
you, give you
yeah,
$100,000 a month now because of that. The
right.
fuck? But
Unless that body said designed for Franklin Bishop,
yeah, yeah,
I'm not paying you nothing. If you got that body made specifically for me and me
exactly,
only, then by all means, baby, we can have that
100%.
conversation. I'll spend those. I'll spend that dollar.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
But
If I
if you
can
did it
Mrs.
to, if
Potato you, you know what
yeah,
I mean.
yeah,
Now we then we talk.
now we talking.
Yeah, then
Now
we
now
can.
you now you get the black card, baby.
Yeah,
You get the
otherwise,
black card.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
the fuck. But anyway, man, time's about up on this podcast.
Oh man,
Appreciate you coming through. Definitely got to
no,
get some more
absolutely,
subjects and hop on some more.
no,
I'm like, honestly,
absolutely, brother, man.
I'm off for the next few days, so hit me up if you got something else. We'll get into it. But
Yeah, man.
anyway, until
I'm
next
off all
time, brother,
weekend.
I appreciate you. Peace.
Peace. Y'all stay blessed.
Blast. That should definitely be the word right there.